Welcome back to another video. So let's talk about Brian McKnight. I mean, that smooth, handsome 90s R&B singer. Lately, it's not looking bright on his side. He's not been winning any Best Dad awards for sure. Seems like he's only claiming the kids he has with his current wife, leaving his other biological children out in the cold. He even called them product of sin. I mean, that's not nice. You know, even if you weren't married and you have them, these are gifts from God. We should never call them product of sin. You know, we need to have love and compassion no matter what, especially when it comes down to our children. So social media is blowing up, calling him out of being a terrible dad and a pretty awful person in general. Some folks are saying if there's such a thing called cancel culture, he needs to be canceled. So Brian McKnight not only backing down though, he's sticking to his guns, refusing to apologize for how he's treated his kids.
Got off the plane to some of the most heinous craziness I've ever seen in my life, that my oldest son, Brian, would post that I'm abandoning my children. And the reason why, I suppose, is because I have a new family, and I guess this stems from a post that I made the other day about my son, Jack, who I'm very proud of, which isn't to say I'm not, and haven't been proud of my other children, but I was proud of this one for the things that he did that day. But we'll get back to that in a second. Anyone who knows me knows over the last 20 years, 30 years now, as a matter of fact, that I've been there for my children every step of the way until recently. And let's be clear, my two sons are 30 and 27, not 12, not 13, but 30 and 27. Now my daughter's about to turn 18. That's another story I'll get to in a second. I've never missed a day of child support. I've never done anything adverse to my children whatsoever. I've always been there. I've always been there with advice, whether they took it or not. I've always been the sounding board, and I've always been the one that tried to help them achieve whatever dreams they were wanting to reach out for. I guess one of my only faults is that I gave my children everything that I didn't have in the hopes that they would appreciate it, because I know how much I would have appreciated it when I was their age. I would tell you as parents out there, entitling your children is probably one of the worst things you can do, and I know I am guilty of that. For whatever reasons, I'm guilty of that. Tough love is a tough thing as a parent to try to institute to your children, because you want to help them as much as you can, and I did as much as I possibly could. When I stopped doing that for them, BJ was 25 and Nico was 22. And it wasn't like I completely cut them off at that point. That happened much later. But I've been there. When I put them out of my house, I gave them an apartment for 2 years. And I said, guys, this is it. This is the time to grow up. I'm giving you 2 years. I'm going to pay for everything for 2 years, but you're going to have to work or do something, because at the end of those 2 years, that's going to be it. It's time to be men here, guys. It's time to grow up. At the end of those 2 years, they hadn't done any of it. It was just right around the time that Leilani and I had gotten together. Leilani was working at Children's Hospital. And let's be clear, Leilani has been one of the only people who's been an advocate to keeping us together, to keeping us having a relationship, because she wants to have the nuclear family as much as I did. And they have spit in her face at every turn. She got them jobs at the hospital, $18 an hour with benefits, and with the option of the hospital actually paying for them to go back to school. They said, and I quote, that they knew they didn't want to stop smoking, and they would have to pass a drug test. And the day I had the doctors looking into it, Nico's on there, you know, taking a big puff, which is fine. If you want to smoke, that's fine. I'm not saying that that's bad. If that's your choice, that's your choice. But what I'm telling you is that we have been advocates for them every step of the way. Now let's go to the part where we have been estranged. Again, we talk about abandonment. I'm not abandoning them. We are estranged, which happens more often than not in this particular situation. BJ broke into our home a few months ago, and he put X's on the eyes of our wedding photos. And then he put a photo of my first wedding on Leilani's vanity. It was at that moment, and after I heard him say, and was pointed to from other friends of mine that saw his posts on social media, that he basically said that I was better off dead to him than alive. I was more valuable to him dead than alive. And that was the end of me dealing with him. If you look at my Instagram, you'll see that, not my last video, but the video before that, 42, The song was written by Brian and I, and it was directed, the video, by Nico. And I went on and I said how proud I was of Nico at the time, and I really, really was. He did an awesome job in that video. Even before that, less than 2 years ago, these are the two gentlemen who stood up for me as my best man in my wedding. So abandonment, deadbeat dad, I'll reiterate, I've never missed a day of child support. I've been there every step of the way. BJ, he talks about Jack's new car. BJ had 3 brand new cars before he was 22. But I'm not talking about material things, because none of this has anything to do with money. It's about respect. Respect goes both ways. And even in family, there's a line that shouldn't and should not ever be crossed.
But now that his popularity taking a nosedive in concert or getting canceled, maybe he'll start seeing things differently. Like his show in Detroit, that's a no-go. The people there are like, thanks, but no thank you. He need to deal with his children first before we support him. Yikes. When they announced Brian McKnight's upcoming gig at the Sound Bar in the Motor City Casino Hotel, folks weren't exactly rolling out the red carpet. Comments were harsh, with most people poking fun at him, saying they won't bother showing up, even if the ticket was for free. Ticketmaster confirmed that show's been canceled, no reason given, but it's pretty obvious it's because of all the hate Brian McKnight been getting. The comment section on the Motor City Post, brutal. People act like they were purging the world of evil, and unfortunately, Brian McKnight was in the crosshairs. Then there's McKnight's son, Nico, who had enough. He went on social media to call out his dad, saying some pretty heavy stuff. It's not just about the kids, but Nico hinting that maybe the problem lies with Brian McKnight himself. And guess what? McKnight's ex-wife, Julie, had something to say too. She didn't directly comment on the cancellation, but she posted a popcorn emoji, which kind of say it all. She's basically enjoying the drama, comparing McKnight to a kid throwing a tantrum because he didn't get his candy. Despite all this mess, McKnight kept quiet, no public apology nor explanation currently. People are left wondering what he's thinking and what's next for him. Oh yeah, so things aren't looking too hot for Brian McKnight right now. His word got him in deep water, and now he's feeling the heat. I guess that he's learning that action have consequences, especially in the age of social media. What are your thoughts on this video? As you can tell on his video, he mentioned that these children are over 30, so they need to strive on their own. What comes to mind when you think about this video? Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and also to subscribe if you're brand new to this channel. Until then, we'll see you around. Thank you for watching. Be blessed.